What's up, everyone? It's the Beast Bailey, and as you can see by the title, it is Conference Championship Week. Guys, we had a heck of a game last night, didn't we? Boy, that Pac-12 title game, between USC and Utah, I don't know if any of y'all watched it. I watched the entire game, start to finish. Utah just took control of that game pretty much after halftime. That it was their game. They were playing how they wanted to. Yes, Caleb Williams got hurt. He was limping around, whatever. Still trying to play. He tried. He did score another touchdown after he got hurt. So he tried. But Utah wins 47-24. Utah just the momentum swings in this game were visible to the naked eye. I mean, you could see it. USC was up 17-3 at one point, and that really was when, for USC and Lincoln Riley, they should have just put the nail in the coffin. Because if you go up 24-3 on a team, there's a good chance that team might just go in give up mode. But man, Utah hung around. They scored a touchdown, made it 17-10. Scored another one, made it 17-17. That was the halftime score. And they went on to score 30 points. They outscored them 30-7 in the second half. So, congratulations to Utah, all the Utah fans out there. Back-to-back Pac-12 champs. That's what's up. That's to become a great team. You got to dominate your conference first, and then kind of get your name into the postseason limbo. So you got to dominate your conference. You got to win your conference. And so that's that. But yeah, USC out of the playoff for sure. Opens the door for Ohio State. Ohio State probably a 90% chance to get in the playoff right now. Now, let's talk about some of the other games today. Three of them, two of them matter to me. Well, I guess three of them can matter. First off, the Clemson North Carolina game, 8 o'clock. That game has no playoff implications, and I probably won't even watch that game. I'll probably have my 8 o'clock window will be the Michigan-Purdue game. I will be watching that game over the North Carolina-Clemson game because that game has more playoff implications than anything else. If Michigan were to get blown out by Purdue, Michigan might slip out of the playoff. They might. If TCU gets blown out by Kansas State, TCU might slip out of the playoff. Now, I believe Michigan will stay in before well, I don't know. That's a whole if. That's a big if. If Michigan, TCU, and Georgia were to lose the same way USC lost last night, the playoff committee is going to have a field day come tomorrow, because who's in? I mean, who you got at that point? You got to value strength of schedule, strength of record, head-to-head matchups, and that goes to point out why is Tennessee behind Alabama when Tennessee has a better strength of schedule, a better strength of record, same record. But the head-to-head tiebreaker, Tennessee beat Alabama. Tennessee should not be sitting behind Alabama. That's just my thoughts. I do believe if Georgia wins, Michigan wins, that's going to be your 1 and 2. If TCU were to lose a close one, I got Ohio State at 3, TCU at 4. I think that's the playoff. A one-loss TCU in a close one is not going to beat out a 10-2 Alabama that lost 2 close ones. That's just not going to happen. And if that does, that's TCU's getting robbed. Look, TCU, how can you punish them for being undefeated and playing another game? You can't punish them for playing the 13th game. You can't. If TCU loses by a field goal, if TCU loses 29-26, the game's back and forth, whole game. And Kansas State walks off with a field goal. Okay, Kansas State, in y'all's opinion, is the 10th best team in the country. That is actually the highest rated matchup of any of the Power 5 championship games is the Big 12 game. You mean to tell me TCU is playing the best opponent this week? So I'm just stating the facts here. So if TCU gets beat by a field goal or even a last-second touchdown, TCU should get in at 4. I think TCU gets in at 4 spot. I think Ohio State will slip to that 3 spot, and I think we'll see a Michigan-Ohio State rematch in the semis and a Georgia-TCU playoff. Now, if Georgia were to lose, which I hate dancing around this idea, I've already stated how I feel about it. I want Georgia to win the SEC championship because Georgia hasn't won this game in 5 years. 2017 was the last time they won it. Georgia's lost this game the last 3 times they played it. I want Georgia to win this because Georgia, I've only seen Georgia win one SEC championship since I've been watching football. So I would love to see this Georgia become 13-0 SEC champions. Okay, now let's settle down and go play for a playoff, play for something else. So, but if Georgia were to lose, which I don't think they will, if Georgia was to lose, and really, if you look at the history, all of Georgia's losses, the last 5 or 6 losses Georgia had, were blowouts. I don't see LSU blowing Georgia out. I just don't see that. And that's not because I'm a fan of the team. I look at the quarterbacks. I'm gonna start with QB play. Look at the quarterbacks that have beaten Georgia recently. Bryce Young, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones. Forget 2019 South Carolina. Forget that game. Joe Burrow. Sam Ehlinger. That 2018 Sugar Bowl. Joe Burrow again in 2018. They beat us, and we went down to LSU and they beat us. In 2017, we lost to Tua Tagovailoa. Tua in 2018. That list of quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels does not fit on that list. And I'm not knocking Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is really like Anthony Richardson. Them two guys, they're almost like they could be twins. I mean, their play is so similar. Anthony Richardson is him running the ball is kind of like Cam Newton running the ball, but Jaden Daniels, he's just like shifty running the ball. But and Jaden Daniels, if his I don't know if his ankle's messed up. I know he got hurt against A&M. If he's not healthy and he can't move around the pocket, if his mobility is compromised for this game, and LSU has to throw the ball, I don't like LSU's chances in this game. And I think that's the reason why the spread is so high. I could be wrong, but about the spread being that high being the reason why. But I just don't see LSU having a shot. I mean, obviously, we seen what Utah did to USC last night, and that should put the other 3 teams on watch because this is a team that was favored. USC was favored close to win the game, but now obviously the injury to Caleb Williams kind of derailed the game a little bit. Now, could the committee look at that and say, "Hey, USC was dominant when he was healthy"? So now that would be now if USC was undefeated, that might be a case that since he got hurt, that's why they lost the game. That could be a case for USC. But no, they're 2 losses. They're not getting in. Is a 2-loss USC better than a 2-loss Alabama? USC has another win. That I didn't even think about that. That might be interesting right there. That might be interesting. Mm, mm. Well, back to the LSU game. Obviously, Stetson Bennett has to play great. And really, Stetson Bennett, if Georgia loses the game, it's going to be because the offense can't score. You go back and watch all the other losses. They were 41-24, 42-24, 37-10. The offense can't go, and the defense gets tired, and so the other offenses capitalize. And that's what happens. Happened last year in the SEC championship game against Alabama. The game was just it just got out of hand for Stetson, and he couldn't rally back. Now, obviously, Stetson was not even the starter last year, coming into the season. So maybe the mentality is maybe now, since he has been the starter since the beginning of spring and whatnot. So maybe we can see a little different look from Stetson. But if Georgia gets down in the hole in this game, let's say we go down 17-0, 17-3, obviously that's what happened to USC and Utah last night. I don't think he pulled him yet, but I mean, if he's clearly shaking and he's clearly out of it, you got to pull him out, Kirby. You got to make the move, man. Put Carson in, because you never know until you try. And I really hope, now we don't have to worry about that scenario. I really hope Stetson come in and play a great game. Stetson in the big games. Stetson has played in his last 3 big games. In his last 4 big games, Stetson has thrown for almost 1,400 yards in those games. Going back to Michigan last year, Alabama in the Natty, and Oregon beginning of this year in Tennessee. Stetson plays his best games in those big games. That first Alabama game he lost. But Stetson, I mean, it's just the offense just couldn't get nothing going. The defense did get killed on a lot of plays. I will admit that. They did get burned on a lot of plays. And this USC game, guys, I mean, USC had wide receivers wide open, just standing in like if you the field. Imagine this is the field right here. You have a dude standing all by himself right here, nobody around him. He's just right here. And it's like 4th and 11, like a you need it play. Utah, Lord, I don't know. Lincoln Riley, back on cue though. Lincoln Riley, man, dude. That man can't have an offense for nothing. Obviously, it's his first year there, but Lord, if USC had a defense like Georgia, Michigan, or TCU even, dude, they would be a solid team. But my goodness, they can't do it. So Kansas State, TCU, let's talk about that real quick. Obviously a rematch. Kansas State's quarterback's out, so they're down to the 2nd string guy. They were down to a 3rd string guy the first time they played them. Now, can Kansas State win? I think they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. Obviously, I hope TCU wins the game. I don't want Alabama getting the playoff. Because, listen, I don't want Alabama getting the playoff because they're not deserving of it. A 2-loss team should not make the playoff in a 14 playoff. They shouldn't. If TCU gets blown out, I think they're out. But if TCU loses a close one, I think they're still in. Same goes for Michigan. I think if Michigan gets blown out, I think they're out. Now, if Georgia gets blown out, are they out? That's the wild card, really. And like I said, I don't like dancing around that idea. But what if all 3 of them get blown out? What if all 4 of the top 4 teams get blown out? What do you do? Alabama at 1. Goodness. Make my eyes water. But yeah, guys. TCU, they just keep winning. I'm going to go TCU to win. I'm not going to predict the score. I can't. 31-30, I don't know. TCU is going to win. That's all I care about. I just hope they win. Purdue and Michigan. Michigan better win this game 45-10. Michigan, you better not struggle with this team. You better not lose to them either, boy. You better not lose because you might get out of the playoff if you lose. North Carolina, Clemson, toss-up game. Both of them are duds in the water right now, so either or. I would think Clemson would win, but North Carolina's offense, man, when they get the humming, boy, you can't stop it. I think North Carolina could win, but it'd be close. Michigan, you just better find a way to win, man. It's Purdue. You're playing an unranked team, and you're ranked second, man. Listen. And I think that's kind of unfortunate for Michigan that they got to play Purdue like that. Because what if it is a close game or they lose? You lost to an unranked team. Michigan, man. It's not good. But tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we are going to know who is in the playoff. I may or may not make a video today. I may make it tomorrow, a couple hours before the playoff show comes out or something. May make it tomorrow. But, yeah, guys, this is it, man. Season, everything we worked for, everything these Georgia Bulldogs worked for this season, it's on the line tonight. A 12-0 season. We got the LSU Tigers this is today, man. We got LSU today. Now, I'm going to say something. And a lot of people really ain't talking about this. But I thought about this the other day. Kirby did say that this team can accomplish something that last year's team did not accomplish, and that's winning the SEC. That's fine and dandy. And yes, I agree. I want to win the SEC championship. I want this game. This is probably, honestly, is this my most wanted win game of the season? Like, I really wanted to win that Oregon and Tennessee game. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really wanted those wins. But this game tonight, I want this game. As a Georgia fan, this is our chance to win the SEC championship and be 13-0, have the 1 seed, and then we get to play in the Peach Bowl in the first round of the playoff in Atlanta. Guys, there's a lot on the line for this game. And most importantly, I think if Georgia were to lose a close one, all it's going to matter is the seeding in the top 4. And so they might drop us to 4. They wouldn't do that. They'd drop us to 3. And we'd go to freaking Arizona playing the Fiesta Bowl. But listen, Georgia wants the rematch from that 2019 game. Oh, they do. And I'm sure Kirby's got them boys fired up. Listen, my dogs, my Georgia Bulldogs, the Bulldogs, my team are 12-0. We're playing in the SEC championship against a 9-3 LSU team, a team that beat Alabama by 1, got blown out by the Tennessee Volunteers. Got beat by Florida State. Got beat by Texas A&M last week. Injured quarterback. Georgia is a great white shark right now. And LSU, you are the seal in the open blue. Go Dogs. Dogs on top, 38-17. Go Dogs.